Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. And good to be with you. I'm here in Washington, D.C. And let's say hello to a few dear friends. I just wanted to make sure. Mike, let me know. Hi, how are you? Andrea, if you can hear me and see me. I'm not in my little studio this morning. Jude, how are you? Troy, New York. Brahim, there you are, my friend. And Marilyn from PEI. Okay, so guys, it's good. You can hear me and see me. Kevin and Amber from New Jersey. There's Doc McEwen. How are you? Carrie from Nebraska. And from Markham, who was that? Donna. Mike, how are you, my friend? Fran, Orangeville, good to have you guys on. And good morning. You know what? I don't see that scroll very well. Kevin, how are you? Fran, Diane, LaSalle, Deb, good morning. Lorraine, British Columbia, Dave, good morning. From Gilmore, Donna. Okay, I'm glad you can hear me. And I can't see, guys. They're going up in the clouds there. Nick, how are you from our staff? There's IT. Barbara from Thetford. And Marlene. I know I missed a lot of you guys. Sorry. Wendy. That was you, Wendy, from Markham. Yolande. Bonjour. Gail. Hello from Saskatchewan. And Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Cheryl, Alabama. Two Cheryls in a row. Donna. And Nellie. Good morning, Nellie. Francis, how are you? And Suzanne, good morning from Edmonton. And Kevin said he beat Brahim this morning. I know Brahim, he's losing it. Yvonne, how are you? John from Finland. John, two Johns in a row, Lafroy. Sharon from Kansas, good morning. Rosa, good to have you. Sherry's on with us. Mara. Okay, guys, let me get going because I can't see a lot of the things. And Wendy from London and Brandon, how are you? And Margie, Kansas. And Carol, West Virginia. Carol, I was waiting on you. Bonnie, Little Britain. Okay, guys, let me just, yesterday, I was funny because I was flying yesterday, okay? And I sat beside a guy, and it was kind of interesting. We talked about, we talked a lot of things about health. But he was talking to me about, he's very much into anti-aging. And it was interesting because for a lay person, he seemed to know a fair amount. He had gone to a conference on anti-aging and they were talking about telomeres. Telomeres. Now, you guys know what those are. Telomeres are wick-like substances, okay? As part of your DNA. You got a little, like a candle wick. And the longer your telomeres are, the longer I don't want to say the longer you're going to live because you could get hit by a bus, right? You're not in control of that. But the longer your telomeres are, the slower you age. That's probably a better way to look at it. So they can actually measure that. I wrote an article, I wrote a little part of a book, 4 or 5 years ago. They just asked me to do a little article on creation, okay? And I just was talking about like what we don't know. I use the phrase, and you guys have heard me say this 1,000 times. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Like the human body, guys, it's incredible. And to think that just happened, I don't believe that. Okay? I don't believe that. There's just too much. I mean, the detail, and one of them, and this is what I wrote in that article. When I was in school, we didn't even know about telomeres. We knew about DNA. And your DNA is different than my DNA. And, what is there? 8 billion, I think I think it was 2023, we hit 8 billion people on the planet. And nobody has the same DNA. You're unique. But it's amazing to get down into, the more powerful the microscopes are, the more they see. And, the last time I'm in Washington, by the way, D.C., okay? And the last time I was here, I went to the Smithsonian. And I actually watched a presentation on the Hubble telescope. It was about an hour long. It was fascinating what they could see with that telescope in the sky. And, just unbelievable, guys. I was fascinated by it. But the more they look into a microscope, and the more powerful the microscope is, it's incredible. So they're able to literally measure these little wicks on your DNA. And they can tell you how fast you're aging. It's incredible. Just by measuring your wicks, okay? Telomeres, that's what they're called. And I was telling this guy yesterday, his first name was Mike, and I was just telling him, look, I told him about the article I written on telomeres, and I said, but let me give you, okay, let me give you a little bit of research on telomeres, okay? And this is from probably 3 or 4 years ago, okay? This study. And I kind of remember it because I used it as part of the article that I wrote on telomeres, and it was, well, I'll get you the exact thing because I found the study. Doctors measured the telomeres length in 4,117 women. Okay, this is just one way they measured. And women who slept 6 hours or less a night had a 12% shorter length of telomeres than women who, same age, okay, women who slept more than 6 hours. So I was telling this Mike guy about research on telomeres and sleep. Now, you and I know, okay, when you read my book, Sun, Steak, and Steel, and Sleep, that sleep is very important. It is extremely important, isn't it? For your health. And I always talk about the self-cleaning oven, that only when you're sleeping, and I mean, natural sleep, not sedated, okay? You go in for an operation and they sedate you. You're not, The self-cleaning oven isn't turned on. Your lymphatic system. Remember, your brain is energy. It's headquarters. And there's a lot of energy needed up in the brain. And whenever you have a sort of a manufacturing plant, energy center, you're going to have a lot of waste. You're going to have a lot of byproducts, and they need to be cleared out of the brain. One of the things they talk about in tau, T-A-U proteins, okay? And those things don't get cleared properly. Well, one of the factors they say it's a big factor in Alzheimer's, and that's not the bottom line in Alzheimer's. You and I know that type 3 diabetes, sugar, insulin, that's the biggest problem in Alzheimer's. Anyways, back to telomeres and sleeping. When you get a good night's sleep, not only does your brain repair, not only does your self-cleaning oven come on, when you get a good night's sleep, your telomeres lengthen. You actually help yourself regenerate the body. And sleep is very important for that, okay? 4,117 women were followed, and those who slept 6 hours or less had 12% shorter wick length. Their telomeres were shorter. They could actually measure it, okay? Now, let's talk about other things that will help in the anti-aging process. We'll talk about some vitamins. Vitamin E, exercise. Yeah. I went for my walk this morning in Washington, D.C. Okay? I'll post a picture of me outside the White House this morning because I'm right downtown Washington. So I went to Pennsylvania Avenue this morning to see the White House. I asked to meet with the president, and apparently he was busy, okay? So vitamin E, exercise, move. And you and I know this. The world may be starting to catch on. That is very, very important, okay? Very important to get strong. One of the best exercise, I'm not saying you shouldn't go I love walking, okay? I mean, therapeutically, that is fantastic for you, and I love walking. But I'll tell you something that's even better for you in the realm of vitamin E, and that is you get strong. See those puppies there? You get strong. Strong legs. The more muscle you have metabolically, the longer your telomeres are going to be. Got the memo? Okay, good. Okay, so vitamin E, okay, prioritize sleep. Okay, those are studies that have been done on telomeres. Okay, vitamin D. You knew I was going to say the sun. Okay? We know your body has antennas for the sun. Every cell in your body does, especially your immune system, your Navy SEALs, your T cells. Okay? They have little antenna looking for the sun. But telomeres, it increases the length of your telomeres. Guys, there's nothing like the sun. Actually, the sun's out here today. Okay? The sun's out here today. Okay, vitamin D lengthens telomeres. So does the supplement, by the way. Boy, you should see the new study. I'll bring it to you because there's a new study on vitamin D and what was it? Prostate cancer and how good it is for that. Is there anything vitamin D isn't good for? So vitamin D lengthens your telomeres, okay? Obviously, don't smoke. Don't smoke, okay? And no wacky tobacco either. No smoke. And guys, I don't talk about this that much, but you know what? You got to really watch alcohol too, okay? And I'm not telling people they can never have a drink. I don't do that with people. I just tell people, listen, you got to be careful. Got to be careful with smoking. Obviously, everybody knows that. And alcohol too, so just be careful. It lengthens telomeres when you eliminate those things or cut way back on alcohol. Here's one that is. I don't think this will surprise you because we talk about this all the time. Keep your cortisol down as much as you can. Look, we live in a crazy world. There's a lot of stress, okay? It's a big factor, but quit the stinking thinking, okay? Quit the stinking thinking. Like focusing in and look, listen, that's why exercise is so good. Do you know that when you exercise, your cortisol does not go up? It actually helps to regulate your cortisol. Cortisol is this, okay? It gets everything going for the fight or flight. You need cortisol, but you don't want it to be high all the time. And when you're stressed and you're focused in on negativity, it actually shortens your telomeres. I used to tell my patients all the time in the office, quit your stinking thinking, okay? And guys, I don't mean, like bury your head in the sand and, I don't have any problems, or I'm not trying to minimize any of that stuff or whatever, but, I call it the captured mind. You're starting to think negativity and all, really, you capture it and hold it and say, you know what? I'm just going to try and de-stress right now. And guys, why do you think we created the cortisol formula, which is probably, I'm telling you, I think our cortisol is our number one formula, if I'm not mistaken. That's how people love that product. But we live in a world, there's so much stress. I mean, family dynamics to our health, to the world and the politics and, like the environment. Wow. Okay. And then, guys, you knew I was going to do this. Let's talk about food and telomeres. Okay. When you give your body what it needs, the right fuel, when you're burning the right fuel, that lengthens your wicks. The candle wicks get longer. When you lay off the junk, when you lay off sugar, when you lay off those crappy carbs, and you live on eggs, meat, and cheese. Yeah, you can have some fruits and vegetables too, okay? Some plant kingdom, mostly animal kingdom. When you live there, you're, and you won't hear this almost anywhere else, because people today are gone crazy on the plant kingdom. They're always talking about the plant kingdom being the best kingdom of food. It's not. Never was and never will be. Because it's not nutrient dense enough. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not telling you that the plant kingdom's no good. I'm not telling you fruit is no good for you. I don't do that to people. Why? They're God's candies. Don't live on them. That's all I tell people. Just don't live on. You can have some fruit. Not during the reset, because we're trying to fix your insulin. And, there's a reason for my madness, guys. There's a 30-day program for a reason. I can prove it. I've proven it to tens. We're probably at 100,000 people now that have done the reset. And they can testify, but I know because I had tens of thousands of patients in my office do the reset, and I could measure the difference. I couldn't measure telomeres, but I'm telling you, telomeres are lengthened. Now look, guys, we're eventually all going to rust out and die, okay? It's just the way it is, okay? But we want to lengthen as much as we can. And guys, I'm much more not into, I'm into quality much more than quantity. Okay? I want quality of life. That's why, guys, I don't know about you. Have you made investments in your life? I know a lot of people. I used to see a lot of patients. They made investments and they had money in the bank and they had RRSPs and they had, their bank accounts were really good, but they didn't have any health. And I said, well, I like quality of life rather than quantity. By God's grace, I'm in my, almost mid-70s. And, I feel good. And I know a lot of that is, but I've made investment, guys, in my health over the years. I'm regimented. I'm disciplined, but I have to be. I've told you my story. We got bad genetics for diabetes and you name it in our family. And I want to override those genetics. I want to lengthen my telomeres to the best that I can. It's worth it. It's worth it. Okay, now guys, no program tomorrow. I'm flying back into Canada. Okay? So, flying. I guess maybe I could do a program from the airport. Probably not. Okay, so let's just take tomorrow off. But Friday is Q&A Friday. Always, we love Q&A Friday. I love answering your questions. And we appreciate it. So send your questions in. info@martinclinic.com. info@martinclinic.com gets to the Doctor Is In podcast. Guys, we love watching you live. I love you guys watching me live when you can. And tell everyone that they can get the Doctor Is In podcast on their favorite smart device, our favorite platform to listen to podcasts. Okay? Okay, guys, we love you dearly, and we'll talk to you soon.